I'm new to learn. Let's once again go to in-class challenges. I highlighted using the green color for today's exercise. You can click on it, and as usual, you need to accept this assignment. Now, after accepting it, you will have a repository, and you can go to the repository by using this link. All right, so I provided several files already. So the purpose is that we're going to edit all those files so that we have a repository on GitHub, which we can use to connect to Streamlit. Streamlit is just a library, Python library that allows us to convert our Python codes, say for visualization and for other purposes, into web applications. Okay, so we're gonna build a simple web application for this example. There's some detailed tasks involved here, but we can worry about that after the next break, and we can do it together. But quickly review those 3 files. Later on, you need to edit those 3 files, or you can actually delete this file or upload another file with the fully loaded content, right? But anyways, that's not important. So that's one file that needs to be included for any Streamlit app you will develop, right? And this README is just the information about this assignment, this exercise. And requirement.txt, that's actually, for now, it's blank. And later on, we'll see that this file also serves an important purpose for setting up the app. Eventually, we're going to make this app and host it in Streamlit. But how do we do that? Well, so that requires just a little bit, actually, preparation. So go to the website called share. The font size is very small, but I'm going to read it out to you. share.streamlit.io, right? So share.streamlit, streamlit.io, okay? Or you can search Streamlit share on your Google. And then it requires you to log in, but of course you need to have an account, okay? So you click on continue to sign in, and you need to sign up. So you click on sign up because unless you already have an account. When you sign up, it is strongly recommended that you choose continue with GitHub. Okay, and then just enter the credentials you would log in on GitHub, and then click on sign in. When I did it, it asked me to actually do some verification. So maybe to verify that you are a human, not a robot. Something like that. So maybe that takes a couple of minutes, I guess. But once it's up, later on we're going to come back to your Streamlit account, and then we can tell this web service that we're going to use a certain GitHub repository, and I want to convert that repository into a web app. Here, I think may not be a bad idea for us to take advantage of the familiar environment of GitHub to develop the codes. Okay, so go to the content section of I'm New to Learn if you want to do it first in GitHub, Colab, and then do some copy and pasting in the end. So go to the content and expand the lecture materials. Click on visualization. Then you will see the last notebook, which is right next to this bullet point of Streamlit, and click on it. And I just outline the steps for creating the Streamlit app. First of all, we need to have a main script file called app.py. Sometimes it's called Streamlit_app.py. I think you can choose the name, and later on, as long as you tell Streamlit what is the name of the main script. Okay, so now in this step, we're going to write the code in one of the in this code cell I'm showing you, right? But of course, like later on, this is not actually the eventual place where we need to have the codes. We need to copy it into the GitHub repo inside the app.py file. Okay, so we can do this. So we're gonna write something called the magical command in Jupyter Notebook. So whatever we're going to do after we say write file and then app.py, then we're not going to run all those Python codes below it. Instead, we're just going to write all the Python codes into a script file. Okay, so this is actually just something called a magical command, and we're going to create a Python script file instead of running the commands inside the Colab notebook. So to start with, we need to get the required libraries, right? So as you can imagine, first of all, we need pandas, import pandas as PD, okay? Because we're going to be dealing with data frames for our visualizations. And then because it's visualizations, we need a library for visualization, and we have been using plotly.express as PX. Okay. Finally, we also need to use Streamlit because this is what we are going to do to create the app, right? So import Streamlit as ST, right? To for simplicity, to shorten the command. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to do, because it's a web application, right? It's going to be a page in your browser, okay? A tab in your browser. So we need to set up the page. Okay? So as you can see, Gemini is already hinting what we should include. So let's first accept it and take a look at what's going on there. So this is basically to set up the page, right? So first thing here, streamlit.setPage config. So it's basically providing the basic configuration. So page title equal to something. By default, it says sales dashboard. Of course, this is not what we are going to do. We're going to say title equal to metal, maybe metals visualization or anything, right? So it's not that important. And page icon, I mean, if you want, you can get an icon for that, but because it's actually making the line very long, so let me remove it and focus on the most important thing. And layout equal to wide, right? Because we're going to show some visualizations in the browser. If you don't specify layout equal to wide, all the content may be concentrated in the center area of the web page. So in general, I think layout equal to wide makes it look more spread out. Usually the appearance is actually usually better, but we need to eventually see if it actually works out for our purposes, right? Now this is to provide the basic configuration. Not much going on here, just the title of the page and also the layout of the page. Then next we're going to do st.title because that's not the page title. That's the title, of inside the content of the web page, right? So it's like you have a title called metal visualization, and following that, you will see the charts. Okay, so we're going to see metals. We'll set the title as metals visualization, and of course, Gemini is hinting something, but it's actually a bit off. So let's delete the remaining stuff. Okay, so that sets the title inside the web page. And now we need to think about whenever we are developing a web application. Of course, we always need to think about how you design it, right? So there will be very different ways to design it. But what I'm showing you is just as a possible way. You probably have better ideas, but for us to develop this app together, let me tell you what I have in mind. Okay, so we have a title, which is a page visualization, right? So that's on top of not on top of, in the near the top of the page, right? Now, what we're going to do is that I want to have a drop-down menu. So, excuse me for the bad drawing. So it's a drop-down menu, right? So what is drop-down menu? So basically, we're going to use the same metals data frame, only 3 countries, and then we have gold, silver, bronze, right? So the drop-down menu will have 3 options. So let's say it allows us to choose what kind of information we want to visualize, right? So gold medals or silver medals or bronze medals. So you can choose to visualize one of those medals. Just an example, a simplified example, okay? So I want to have this. And after that, I also want to have checkboxes. So I want to have a checkbox and for a bar chart, right? For, let's say you focus on gold, right? And something we have already done before. So bar chart, if you check bar chart checkbox, you will show the bar chart, right? And another checkbox, maybe the pie chart, because we want to show the percentage, okay? So that's the pie chart. So this is how I want the page to look like. Right? And then I will have two columns of the plotting area. I will divide the plotting area into 2 columns. Right? Column number 1 and column number 2. And column number 1 is where I want to display the bar chart. Okay? And column number 2 is where I want to display the pie chart. And it's as simple as that. But it should be interactive, right? So if you selected gold, and then the bar chart and pie chart should be for the gold medals, right? If you selected, if you checked bar chart but you didn't check pie chart, and we shouldn't have the pie chart, right? So it should be a bit interactive for the dashboard. But let's see how we can implement that. Okay, so going back to the notebook. It's here. All right, so now I want to define the drop-down menu as well as the checkboxes, right? The other element is the checkboxes. So I'm going to create a drop-down menu, but inside Streamlit, it's not called drop-down menu. It's called st. That's the Streamlit library, right? St dot. It's called select box because you select one of the items from the menu. And what are the arguments inside the select box? Well, you need to tell people what you are trying to select, right? So you have to tell people the information about what you are select. So it's the metal type, right? So it should show you something called metal type as what you can see by default inside the drop-down menu, right? And then you click on the drop-down menu, you will be able to see the options, right? So options will be gold and silver and bronze. Those are exactly the column names of the metals data frame we used before, right? And then we need to, after running this code, we're going to return it, and let's say we get something called metal. What is metal? Well, it's based on the selection. You can select gold, silver, or bronze. If the user selected silver, and then after the selection is done, this variable metal will be assigned value equal to silver. Okay, so that's defining a variable, not directly by command, but by choice of the user. Okay, so that's metal. That defines the drop-down menu, right? So maybe a good idea to write a command. So this is a drop-down menu. Just one line, right? So specifying, what is the purpose of the drop-down menu? It's to select metal types, and what are the possible values to select? Silver, gold, and bronze. Okay. Now next part, we're going to do the checkboxes. Again, quite simple. The first checkbox is to decide whether or not I want to show the bar chart, right? So st, that's the Streamlit library. St dot checkbox, And the checkbox should be showing the information to telling you the purpose, right? So show bar chart. Do you want to show bar chart or not? Right? And value equal to true. So by default, it's true that you want to select, you want to show the bar chart. I mean, user can toggle it off to say that I don't want to show the bar chart, right? And then again, we want to run this function eventually and return the result to a variable. Let's call it show bar. So the variable show bar is again based on the user's decision, right? If the user actually checked this checkbox, show bar is true. If the user decided not to check this checkbox, show bar is false. And later on, we can use this control to decide if we want to show the bar chart or not. Okay, so that's the first checkbox. And the second checkbox, let's say show pie. Okay, so whether or not we want to show the pie chart, and it's actually exactly the same, just a different checkbox with a different name, and I store the result in a different variable called show pie. The show pie, if the user selected the second checkbox, show pie is true. If not, show pie is false. Okay, and later on I can say if show pie is true, I want to run this code to show the pie chart. If not, if it is false, I don't run the code to show the pie chart. Now, the next part, let's say I want to create a 2-column structure. I want to divide the main area of the page into 2 columns, right? One for each different type of chart. And this is again very simple. So we're going to do column 1 and column 2 equal to st, the Streamlit. Ask Streamlit to create 2 columns, columns 2. That's just to create 2 columns. It's as simple as that. Okay. So now, actually, the user interface part is already done. Okay. Now we want to create the content, and creating the content is somehow easy. Let's see how it can work out, right? So now from this part, imagine that we're not dealing with any app. We're just doing normal coding in Jupyter Notebook. So we just do the usual thing. And later on, we do need to come back to the given structure, given layout and elements of the Streamlit web page. But now let's just do the normal thing. So df equal to px.data meadows wide. I mean, that's just something we have done before, right? Meadows wide. So that's the wide table. We call it df meadows, but for simplicity, we just call it df here. That's just the wide table of the meadows. Remember, we have 3 rows and 4 columns. Now, we're going to plot. So give it a comment. So this is to load the meadow wide data set. I mean, anyways, the next part is that we're going to plot the bar chart. How do we create the bar chart? Well, it's the usual same thing as before, right? But we want to say that I don't necessarily plot it because it's all depending on the value of show bar. If the user didn't check show bar checkbox, we don't plot it. So only when show bar is true, I want to plot it. Okay, and let's see how we can do this. So let's make it intuitive. Okay, if show bar is true, and then I move on to create the visualization. Otherwise, I don't do it. So let me create something like called a figure. But this time, let's call it figure bar, because later on there's going to be a figure pie as well. Right? So what do we do for figure bar? Well, it's actually the same thing as before. px.bar to create a bar chart, right? And what do we do? So we need to provide the data frame df. Okay. What is the x-axis? It's actually nation. You can use double or single quotation mark, doesn't matter. And what is y? Y variable should be count of medals, right? Remember, bar chart want to see how many medals is earned by each country. Okay. So before, we really had gold, right? So if we want to visualize gold, but what do we do now? So here we want to be interactive, right? So if user selected gold, we do gold. If user selected silver, we plot the silver metal counts. What do we do? Any suggestions? It's based on the user's selection, right? So this goes back to the drop-down menu. What did the user select? That piece of information is stored in metal, right? Once user, let's say user selected bronze, and metal is equal to bronze. So it's based on the value of metal. So what do we do? We can use an F string, right? So F metal. So the value of metal is based on user selection, gold, silver, or bronze. And then I put it between a pair of curly brackets and make it an F string that will make it a flexible string that the value is dependent on the value of the variable metal. Okay, so that should be serving the purpose, I believe. And we do a title, right? Title should be metals count, metals count. By what metals, right? So we can again do it an F string. So it depends on the value of the metal variable, and also make it an F string. Okay. Now, next, this part is done actually. I mean, of course, if you want, you can include more information, right? But let's do fig bar. That's the figure we created using px.bar. Let's do update layout. So same thing as what we have done, right? It's update layout. And what do we include here? Usually title x equal to 0.5, right? And following the suggestion by Gemini here, if it doesn't suggest you can just simply enter yourself, right? So x-axis title nation or country, maybe let's change it to country. It doesn't matter. If you want to use nation, that's okay. Y-axis title is count, how many medals each country, right? And so usually we want to specify width and height. So let's say width is equal to, make it small because, I mean, we can adjust it later if necessary, because right now I want to make sure that it doesn't cause, it doesn't lead to very super large figures so that it doesn't fit into the page. Let's say width is 300, height is, I don't know, also 300. And it doesn't matter. Let's say later on we can see how it actually turns out. Okay, so this is actually the same thing as before. Now, usually we would do fig bar.show, right? That's for Jupyter Notebook. Now, I don't want to show it in the Jupyter Notebook, right? I want to show it in Streamlit page. And remember we have two columns, column 1 and column 2, right? And let's actually do it inside one of the columns. Let's say column 1 is for bar chart. So actually, let me just accept it for simplicity. So column 1.plotly_chart, it means that in column 1, I'm going to include a plotly chart. Now, which plotly chart? Well, it's figure bar, the one I created before, right? And user container width equal to true, it means that I want to make the width consistent with the width of the column. So in light of that, I think I can remove height, right? Because width is actually already specified by the width of the container, because we have two columns. So each column is a container to contain the plotly chart, and the width of that column is simply the width of the plot. Okay? So that's what we do. So that's the bar chart. Any questions? Now, next, we're moving on to the pie chart. But the pie chart is actually quite similar. So I want to make sure that, because indent is very important in Python. So now I have to outdent, right? Because all those codes are under the condition of show bar is true. Now it's done. We're moving on to construct the pie chart. So we need to determine if show pie is true or not. Now, I mean, I guess the nice thing about this kind of coding environment is that now it has see how I implemented the bar chart. It sort of figured out how I want to do with the pie chart as well. So then let's just implement the suggestions by Gemini, right? And then make some minor adjustments that you think is necessary. And update layout, make it super simple. Center the title, right? And make the height equal to 300. Because the previous chart has a height of 300, so this is more like make the two charts of the same height, right? And finally, it's the same. Column 2. In column 2, I want to tell Streamlit to insert the plotting chart named figure pi, and I also want to use the width that is equal to the container width. Okay. So this is basically done. Okay. Now we can. I mean, it's not necessary that we actually. So let me. Okay, so I guess I'm using a different account, so I don't have the access to save it back, but that's okay. We can still run this cell, but it's not going to be running through all those lines, right? Because of the magic command on the top. So what if I run it? You will see that the whole thing is to create the script file, which is called app.py, app.py. That's because I specified this name, right? So all those codes, if you click on it, actually double click on it, you will see that it's actually a Python script file with all those commands. I included it in this code cell, so it's not important. The point is that you can either copy and paste from this cell to the GitHub repo, or you can just directly download this app.py file that is generated by this code cell and then upload it to the GitHub repository, right? So this is just, I like to do this because we're familiar with this coding environment, and also it allows me to use Gemini as the AI assistant, okay? So this is the content of the app.py file. So let me select everything here and go back to the repository of the assignment, right? So if you accept the assignment, you can go to the repository as usual, and then you can click on app.py. Okay, and then of course I added some comments to better structure the codes, but I think what you can do is that you can just ignore it. That's okay. If you delete everything, that's okay. But let me do something better. So basically, I need to write file app.py. So do make sure that you remove the magic command, right? Because this is only for Jupyter Notebook or Colab to write the command into a file. So remove this. I think we can actually remove this because I also have some structuring comments already. So let me remove the original comments. Okay. Now I'm not sure if there's any error, but if there's an error, I think Streamlit will tell us. So let me just save it. So in GitHub, we just need to commit the changes. Right. So to just save the commit, right? And then it's updated in the GitHub repository. So go back to this repository. It's done. Okay. So there's another file necessary. It's actually a rather simple file. So what do you think the purpose will be served by this file? By looking at the code we have done just a moment ago. Because eventually, yes, please.
They could install those packages.
Exactly, right? So because we're using some libraries for the code. I mean, if we're running on Colab or locally, that's okay because we can make sure that we install the library. But this time we're going to deploy the app remotely. Right? We need to tell the server that which libraries need to be installed. So which libraries? That's exactly what you have to include. So for completeness, let me actually do this in the same Jupyter notebook. So I'm going to say write file requirements.txt. I need Streamlit, Plotly, and pandas, right? I mean, this is not necessary, but sometimes there's some version compatibility. Let's say Streamlit version. You need to find out what is the appropriate version, right? But this is just a demonstration. So Plotly, Streamlit has to be a version above 1.36, and Plotly, let's say above 5.20, and greater than equal to, and pandas greater than equal to 2.0. Right? I mean, it doesn't matter. You can just skip all those version numbers. I think it doesn't cause any problems, but because by default it will get the latest library available. But now, if I run this code, you see that I generate the requirement.txt file. But right now, I don't need to do this. I need to select those 3 rows and go back to the repository and go to requirement.txt and click on this edit icon, copy and paste, and then commit changes. Now it's basically done, okay? And for the purpose of this assignment, this is enough because I was thinking that, ideally we should deploy it and see the app running, right? But sometimes, internet issues, other issues can be tricky. So I didn't require you to really deploy it, but I think it's a good idea to deploy it. If you can deploy it, insert a URL of this deployment by editing this readme.md file. But anyway, let's still go through the whole process to see how things work, right? So actually, Matt brought an issue to me, so because we don't have the owner or admin access to this repo, so I work around maybe that it may be the case that Streamlit will ask us to be the owner in order to deploy this app, right? So I think what you can do is that on this main page of the repo, click on fork. That will make a copy of the repo on your own GitHub account, right? So it's you can give it a name. I'm going to call it. It's a bit long, but I'm calling it Streamlit Exercise. My username. I mean, I don't want to change anything. And in this case, by default, you are creating a copy in your own repository, own account. So you will be the owner. So this is my username. You will be able to see your username. So let's create fork. So it takes a moment or two because it's really just doing some copying and pasting, right? Now, this should be my own repo. If you do the same operation, it will be your own repo. So you have full control of this, right? Now, going back to the Streamlit. So I don't know if you actually get the link. So if not, let me try to see if I can insert. I'm not sure if I can. I mean, I can quickly write it down. So the URL for deploying the app is share.streamlit.io. Okay, so we're gonna refer to that URL. Hopefully you have already set up the account. If not, I think that's also okay because it's not overly complicated. Now, this is after logging because I already logged in beforehand. So I stayed logged in. Right? So this is sort of the page I see by default after logging in. And the remaining task is actually quite easy. Looking at this page, on the top right corner, there's a clickable badge called create app, right? And then there's several options. Let's say we're going to deploy a public app from GitHub. So let's click on deploy now, and we need to specify the repository. And it's a drop-down menu, right? You can check for the Streamlit Exercise repository. It's right here. Okay. Now remember the main script file is called app.py. So Streamlit by default it says it's a Streamlit underscore app, but it tells us that it doesn't exist, right? Because this is provided that you created the Streamlit account based on your GitHub account, so they are automatically connected. So let me delete that part. So app.py did exist, so it was not complaining, and that's good. And then this is the URL generated by default. You can change it if you want to customize it a little bit, but I'm not going to do this right now. And let me click on deploy. And if everything is okay, there's no error, we'll be able to see the app. Let's see how it turns out. So it takes a while for Streamlit to install the libraries and then to run the codes to show you the app. Let's see how. Hopefully it won't take too long, but I guess it may take a minute or two. So let's see how it goes. It's also dependent on the internet condition. Sometimes it's really tricky. Okay. So as you can see, if you get some error, there'll be some error messages, and sometimes take a while to figure out. But anyways, let me just show you quickly how it should look like, right? So in any case, you don't have to, because I must have some errors inside there. If you can spot it, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. You won't lose any credits because of that small error. So then, if let's say you focus on the silver metals, you just select silver from the drop-down menu, right? So then we have the silver charts. And let's say I uncheck bar chart, the bar chart disappears, right? If I uncheck pie chart disappears. So this is actually how it should actually look like